Yeah, a little bit I did do, just getting started with it. I was able to download a floor plan into the product. It was a 2-story, and I was able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Layer them, I guess that's the word, correctly. The product was pretty basic as far as using it. It was pretty easy. Except for the fact that drawing vertical lines I was having issues with.
Okay.
And I really didn't notice in the manual or the help portion of any kind of workflow, a typical workflow for the product.
Right. Well, I guess the reason for that is there are so many ways to use it, and there's no particular order that you have to do things in, except that if you're going to, of course, if you're going to bring in a graphic file to use as in the background, that has to be done in order. That has to be done first. And
yes.
I'll go ahead and bring one in now. And let's see. We'll go ahead and use the example that comes with it. Okay, and I'll import. I'll click import. In this screen, you have the opportunity to rotate it if you need to, and we'll just use it as is.
Okay.
Click import, and we're working. Currently, we're working on giving the user the ability to import just a portion of that file. So you just you can frame out what you want to import and just import that portion, and that's going to be helpful where you have a huge plan. It may have different layers on the same page where you want to do just part of a page. But currently, we have to import the whole file. This is where you, and you may already know this, this is where you set the scale for
yes.
the graphic that that we just imported. And I'm just going to zoom in so that I can see that dimension, and that dimension that I'm going to use is up here at the top, and it's 54 feet. Now I'm just going to start a line. It's already set on line. I'm going to start a line over here at the left and press the left mouse button and bring it on across and stop it at the end of that 54 feet. And then I type in 54 feet, and it's 0 inches. So then I just click OK, or I can press Enter, and there it is. So now let's bring in the next story. I switch from floor level 0 to 1. And I'm going to import a graphic from file, and we'll go to the next floor and import that. And it's going to use the same scale that we used on the previous page. And that is already aligned for us. But in many cases, you may have to align that, which simply means you click over here to the Align Image button, and then you can drag that plan around. And
Okay.
or you can click Align Image, and you can use the arrow buttons on the keyboard, either one, to nudge it. Now, if we're going to use that, it's helpful to draw a couple of lines here at to represent a common point. And so that's going to be the upper left corner of the plan. Then I'll go to the next floor, and here are my lines here, and I can align the next floor using those two lines and the arrow keys on the keyboard. And that's pretty close there. That's about it right there. And then just click anywhere on the plan, and it'll save it and you'll be back in normal mode. And that's pretty much aligned there. And the same holds true for the subsequent floors as you work your way up to the top. And then at that point, typically I would begin by drawing some walls. And you just use the left mouse button, click on the wall option button, and then just overlay the walls on the plan. And you're only concerned with the outside walls and any plumbing walls.
Okay.
That's really all we need.
Now it doesn't matter what the size of the wall is, 2x4, 2x6, 2x8.
Yes, it does. And you would set that here. Let's say we want to do a 2x6 wall. We'll just use the drop-down list, and we'll select a 5.5, 6-inch nominal, 5.5 actual size, and you just draw your wall that way. And you can change the width of a wall by highlighting it first, and then just go to the size that you want, and it'll automatically resize the wall. Or
if you wanted, excuse me, I noticed that you only go up to 6-inch. What if it was an 8-inch wall, or
type 8?
Okay, it'll just go right in.
Hit enter, and you can override this. This is just a list of common sizes. You can type 8 or 10 or whatever you want, and it'll resize that wall, and all subsequent walls will be the same size until you change that.
Gotcha.
Okay, well, let's go back down to let's go carry that back down to a 3.5-inch wall. I don't know that this plan has any 6-inch walls. I don't see any right off. So a lot of times a washer and dryer will be on a 6-inch wall, so you can make that bigger. And let's set it back to 3.5.
Okay, so I noticed you just go straight through the doorways. So are you called bounding the room? Like you would? I noticed that you're pretty similar to the Revit, the MEP. Some of this you have, you make it more user friendly than what they have. They're a little more complicated.
I'm not sure what the term bounding the room means exactly. I haven't studied Revit, but what I'm doing is I'm drawing the outside walls because I'm going to use them as a reference for placing my fixtures, especially in the case of a slab construction, because on a concrete slab, typically the forms will match the edge of the outside walls. And when I'm laying out my fixtures, I won't have anything there to work off of but the forms, or possibly even nothing but strings to represent the outside walls.
Yes.
In this area, we typically do have forms, and I'll show you one of the features that we have is the ability to give dimensions from the dimension or reference lines. Let me go ahead and finish off these walls real quick, and then I'll move on to that phase of it. I think I've got a plumbing wall here at the kitchen sink, and that's about it. That's about all the walls I need there. And I can turn the graphics on and off. You can select View, Graphics, and you can get rid of them. Right now, we'll leave them on for placing fixtures. And to place a fixture, I just click on the fixture and drag it over to the area that I want it, and I can zoom in by using the right mouse button. And to change that fixture, I just double click it, and I can go going up to a different size fixture, and it'll resize it that way. Let me just make a change here. I'm going to use sample customer because their selections are already loaded. And okay, let's say I want to place a tub. Well, that's obviously not the right tub, so I can click anywhere on that tub, double click, and then I can select from a list of other tubs. And once I find the one that I want, I can rotate it by clicking in the circle with the double arrows, and it'll give me the ability to rotate. Once I'm done rotating, I just release and click. Well, while it's still highlighted, I can click anywhere in that fixture and drag it into the corner. I can also fine-tune it by highlighting it and using the arrow keys. Each click is, I need to turn that off. Each click is a 1/4 inch, and you can fine-tune it and get it right in the corner where you want it, or you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. And we get zoomed in, we can see exactly where that corner is. So just to move on, I'll go ahead and place a couple more fixtures, and we'll make that a 48-inch cabinet there. And then we'll bring in a water closet. And now I mentioned the reference lines, and they're kind of neat because the fixtures will automatically draw dimension lines over to all the reference lines on your plan. And I'll go ahead and demonstrate that now. Let's turn the graphics off for now so that we can see a little better. These lines here are reference lines, but we won't need them any longer, so I'll delete those. And let's say, well, I'll just draw a reference line out here and one out here. And they can represent anything you want. Typically, they'd represent a form or something that you're going to measure off of. And when we bring a fixture out onto the plan, you can see the dimension lines are constantly updated, and dimensions are given to those reference lines. This only occurs while that fixture is highlighted, and you can move the fixture around and you can see the reference lines are updated. So we'll get rid of that. Now these reference lines in many cases represent the forms, and the forms many times are even with the outside of these walls. So we have a built-in option that allows you to snap those reference lines right against the wall. And here's the little option box or dialog box. And it asks me if I want to snap that line to the wall. If I click yes, it'll bring that line right up against the wall. And that only occurs when you start your reference line even or close to the end of a wall. So it's not going to be a nuisance for you if you're trying to draw reference lines that are independent of a wall. So we'll click yes in that case, and we can go on and continue those. And so the idea is that those lines